Hi folks, this is Dr. Rob Cywes. I am the Carb Addiction Doc, and today I'm going to share probably a little bit of a personal story, and it's kind of an interesting thing. I'm South African. You can tell by my accent, even though it's been Americanized a little bit for those that you are pure South Africans. Been here in this country since 1989. However, I still as a South African am passionate about my favorite food. And my favorite food is right here. That's pronounced in my language droewors, or dried sausage, and it is purely made from beef and fat or pork and fat with sometimes a lamb casing. I like the beef and the sheep fat as my combination. Droewors, and then also there's another form of similar called biltong, which is basically a chunk of meat with a layer of fat, usually beef, but it can be from game, and it's dried for a few days with a few salt and pepper and coriander spices. It is my passionate food. There is nothing in the world better than this. And this is what it looks like, folks. It is just ground up, or not even ground up, it's in chunks. It's ground up meat. I'm going to break a piece. This is what it looks like here. It's in a casing, and that stuff, it can come thin or thick. That stuff, folks, is really, really, really good and pure carnivore. Now, except for maybe the spices, if you worry about that, I'm not. Pepper in my food doesn't make me a less carnivore. However, why am I talking about this? Because here's an interesting concept. This stuff is made for me by, and it's made for you as well. You can order this online. It comes from a company called Lowfeld Soul Food. They're based in South Carolina. It's a pure South African. Mike Myberg and his wife make this stuff. You can see them on the back there, Mike and his wife, Gabri. And they make, I will tell you that the biltong and sausage that they make is even more delicious than a lot of the product we buy in South Africa. Absolutely stunning, and you can order this online. So I am plugging this, I am promoting this. I don't get paid to do this. I do get some of the product for free, but here's the story. So, and it's an important story. So Gabri, Mike's wife, and Mike called me in a flat panic this past week. Oh my God! So what happened? Well, Gabri went to her doctor for a regular visit and a regular checkup. And it so happened that the practice has changed and she got herself a new doctor. And the doctor is a DO, a young person, fully trained, vested, and bought into the standard algorithm-based healthcare system. And as getting to meet Gabri as a new patient, she did some blood work, and all kinds of hell, all kinds of panic set in. Oh my God, you're about to die of a heart attack. And Gabri and Mike reached out to me in a flat panic because this new doctor told them that if you do not get on a statin right away, you're about to die of a heart attack. Your cholesterols are terrible. Your numbers are terrible. So they called me up because they know what I do. And I looked at her numbers. I looked at the cholesterol numbers. And I know how they eat. I know how they eat. And I looked at these numbers, and I know exactly what that doctor was doing. That doctor is classically trained in lipid heart. Fat's bad for you. Saturated fat's bad for you. You guys are eating all this meat, all this fat meat. It's so bad for you. Yes, her cholesterol, her total cholesterol was through the roof. Yes, her LDL cholesterol was very high, at least by the standard American algorithm criteria. But her triglycerides were perfect, in my opinion, nice and low. And her HDL cholesterol, her good cholesterol, was through the roof. But this doctor looked at two numbers, didn't see the patient in front of her, panicked, and then created panic in the patient without any shred of evidence or any explanation. You must be on a statin. You have to go and see a cardiologist. Well, of course, her blood pressure shot through the roof. Now she's on an antihypertensive. She's on a statin. Now she has to take CoQ10 to deal with the deficiency of the statin. Her brain fog's there. Her muscles are wasting away. Her risk of diabetes has gone up. All because this doctor bought into a lipid heart hypothesis narrative that is basically the tobacco industry protection of smoking as a healthy thing to do. Cadbury doesn't eat a lot of carbohydrate. When they go out, she may eat a little bit of bread, little bit, but maybe 15% of her diet. The rest is meat and fat. So just like the Chan School of Public Health, it says red meat causes type 2 diabetes, which, by the way, she doesn't have at all. Her A1C is perfect. Now, what's a normal A1C? 5.2, hers is 5.3. It's beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, it's exemplary. And yet that doctor is creating panic. And she's probably, or similar doctors have probably done that to every one of you watching this video right now. So how does this cause that harm? Or maybe the issue is that we interpret the numbers incorrectly to associate with harm when they should be associated with perfectly good health. And I will tell you categorically that this woman is in ketosis, which is the healthiest way to be. A healthy cholesterol is above 200 for me. She's way up there. A healthy LDL is 120 to 300, which is a good number because it means you're using fat. And I'll explain that number in a second. And then low triglycerides, because triglycerides represent the conversion of excess sugar into fat by the liver and then transport from the liver out to the fat cells, which is a harmful pathway. The liver should be a net recipient of fat that you've eaten. So when you eat fat, the fat doesn't go to the liver, it goes directly to the fat cells where it gets stored, and then between meals it should come from the liver, from the fat cells back to the liver. That's what LDL does. So if your LDL is high, it's just transporting fat back to the liver. As long as your triglycerides are low, which tells me the traffic is this way, not liver to fat cells. So that's physiology. That's where things are being produced. Epidemiology is looking at numbers statically and saying, oh, this is bad. And that's the bullshit of the modern healthcare system. And it's hugely problematic for me. The HDL gets produced by the liver when you are burning fat. Under the influence of glycogen, high glycogen, low insulin, HDL goes up. So Cadbury's numbers were perfect. And yet she's panicked about the numbers being abnormal. Because this doctor doesn't understand is being indoctrinated long-term by what's in a medical school, based upon what tobacco companies and Ansel Keys said in the 1950s, that has been debunked over and over again, but now fostered by the pharma industry trying to sell her a statin. And she came to me petrified that she was doing herself harm. So let's focus on the LDL. Is LDL associated with harm? Well, let's look at that. Look in your house right now. Wherever you're sitting, if you're sitting at home, how many firemen are in your house? Are they running around your house right now? Why not? If there are no firemen in your house, why not? And the reason is because your house is not on fire. So what you actually want is you want a lot of firemen in your neighborhood. You want them driving up and down the road, but you don't want them in your house. You don't want them in your house because your house is not on fire. But if your house does get on fire, you want them available. But your job is to not make fires in your house. Okay? That's exactly how LDL is. LDL and cholesterol does not cause damage to your blood vessels. Inflammation from nicotine, inflammation from stress, Ben Bickman, and inflammation from, not Ben Bickman doesn't cause the stress. He's big on the stress response. But inflammation from stress, unresolved stress, which is not cortisol, it's actually adrenaline, high levels of sugar and nicotine cause inflammation. They cause the fire in your house. And if your house is on fire, LDL comes along to put the fire out. But if your house is not on fire, then the LDL is just keeping you very healthy because fat does not cause harm, vascular harm. It doesn't cause any harm. And I've done those experiments. This Ph.D. did those experiments in the laboratory where we could use sugar to create inflammation, but when we infused high levels of fat, it didn't create inflammation. Even some of the polyunsaturated fats didn't cause inflammation because we used TPN. So the point I'm making to Cadbury is you're about as healthy as you can be. And why is she healthy? They make this stuff. And when you make a really good food like this, of course you're going to eat it. And she acknowledged that she was eating the stuff fairly regularly. And the only criticism I gave her is this. Because when they make this product for sale, She says they're piercing, they're snacking on it throughout the day. The only issue for me is the snacking is there because she'd like to drop a little bit of weight. But other than that, she is metabolically as healthy as a human being can be, and she should never have been scared by that doctor. And she and I talked about that. But this stuff, folks, is incredibly healthy. And it does get you into fat-adapted ketosis. So if you're eating this as a meal or with your meal, it is a beautiful condiment. And the only danger is doing what I just did a few minutes ago. It's just too good not to snack on. But it's really, really good. And if you want to get hold of this, Lowfeld Soul Food, Google them. You can buy this on the internet. And if you use Carb Addiction Doc, they will give you a discount. They will ship it to your home. I'd like you at least to try it. I get no money for this. I get zero money for doing what I'm doing right now. Not a penny. Okay? So I'm not promoting a product for wealth or for my own agenda. I love this stuff. It is DNA to me. My son eats it like crazy. I would urge you to order some. It's a little bit expensive, but it's high quality food. And order some, try it, and then leave some comments. Please leave comments. Please like, please subscribe. But don't be a victim of that young evangelical doctor that's trying to beat the crap out of you because your lipids are off. Know the truth about human biology. Don't be afraid of eating fat and meat. I am the Carb Addiction Doc. If you want your own numbers analyzed, text us 561-517-0642. It has to go together with a consult because we've got to explain the numbers. But we'll walk you through that as an individual, not some algorithmic knee-jerk like this doctor did. Till next time, and if you like the content, if you like this content, leave a donation. Our PayPal account is in the show notes. Leave a number, and in the PayPal, at least in the show notes, you'll also see an address for the Lowfeld Soul Food, where you can order the dry stuff or the wet stuff that you grill on a barbecue called Wors, or you can cook it in a pan. The food is outstanding.